What do Bobby Locke, Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods have in common? They're all on the show tonight. Let's do this! Time for a transformational tip presented by Morgan Franklin. So many times you go out to go play, you feel like your swing is doing great, but you can't seem to get the ball started on the line that you want. Why? One thing: aim. The biggest challenge that we have is getting ourselves aimed properly so that we know that that golf ball is going where we want it to go. Now, how do we solve that problem? An intermediate target, one of the most important things you can use, and something that has been used by Tiger Woods incredibly effectively, as well as Jack Nicklaus, two of the greatest champions our game has ever known. Now, I want to show you why the intermediate target is so important. So we bring in this camera that's the down the line camera. And what you can see is I've got the golf ball. I've got a quarter on the ground here. I have this alignment stick that's right there. We call the breed bar. And then I've got a target. All four of those things are in the same line. So we go, okay, great. We should be able to aim that without a problem. And if I take that camera and I move that camera closer to me, what you can see is that the ball, the quarter, the breed bar, and the target, they're all in the same space. Now, what we have to do is move that camera back a little bit. And now what I want to show you is how where your eyes are positioned changes what you see, what you visualize. So here's my 6-iron position right here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera and just move the camera over to where my eyes are in the 6-iron. And what you can see is now the breed bar is well to the right of this target. It's probably around the 200 basket over there or somewhere in there. Now, here's what I want to do. Now what I want you to do is I want you to bring that all the way up to my eye line right here. So you're going to keep coming. That's right. That's right where my eyes are. And now what you can see is that target right there is now even more to the right. The breed bar is way, way, way right. And that's with the 6-iron. If I come back to a driver position, so come back in here with a driver position, now my eyes are right here. Now look at how much farther to the right that breed bar has gone. Now, what does that all mean? That means that this alignment stick is a really important thing, but it shows us how our aim can get totally skewed. So this is why I like having this intermediate target. So I'm going to knock this thing down here and show you how this intermediate target works. What we want to do is I want to take the face of the golf club and I want to point it directly at that intermediate target. As I point it to that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this inside line of that club face and I'm going to get the inside part of my trail foot and they're going to be parallel. Now when I come in here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the balance in my foot. So I don't want to get out on the toes, nor do I want to be sitting back on the heels. So I come in here, I feel this. Now my foot feels like it's positioned properly on the mat. And what I mean by that is I feel my weight dispersed perfectly throughout my heel and my toes. I want it right in the arches. So I get in here like this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine from my ball to my intermediate target as a line, I'm going to now imagine another line that's right along the ground like this. And I'm going to bring this foot up to that spot right there. And with practice, you'll get this, I can also vary the amount that I step up. In other words, if I'm using a 6-iron, I might have it go up so that it's up about a club and change. If I use a pitching wedge, I might come up about 2 club heads. And if I'm using a driver, I might come up 1 club head. So that's how I measure my ball position. So I'm coming in here like this, 6-iron goes up there like that, and now I drop this back here. And as I've gone into my right foot, right foot, I now have the correct distance from the ball. I also have the correct ball position, and I've also maintained the integrity of my alignment. So I get in here like this, set that club face to that quarter, that intermediate target. Now I go like this, and now when I look up, whatever I see, that perception of what I have to get used to it because I know I've taken the club face and pointed it at my intermediate target. And this is where you start to teach yourself what proper aim looks and feels like, not what you think. So we come in here like this, get that set up like that, look in here, okay, that's what it feels like. Now I'm going to hit that ball over my intermediate target. And when I do that, now my golf ball is going to start out the way I want. So make sure you use that intermediate target, and when you use that intermediate target, you're going to get set up properly and you're going to take care of aim. And that is our transformational tip presented by Morgan Franklin. It's time for a grip tip presented by Golf Pride. You know, we go over to the academy to go give a golf lesson. Guy stands there, he's banging balls, he comes out, he's getting ready for his lesson, and you know what? His glove looks like this. And I look at his glove and I go, what do you got going on here? How does that happen? He goes, I know, it's a real problem. I go, well, you know what that's telling me? And he goes, what? And I go, you're not buying gloves often enough. Now, that's one problem. You don't want to go down all this other roads, but here's what you do want to understand. That occurs because your glove is too old and because of how you're holding the club. Well, we can solve the glove is too old thing, just get gloves more often. But the second thing is we got to understand what's happening when we hold this club properly. Now, that occurs because when you hold the club, what you're doing is you're taking your pinky finger, you're grabbing it all the way at the end, and the grip cap itself is now stuck into the glove. And as you start to make swings and you start throwing the club, you start grinding this part of the grip into the glove and it rips. And then instead of putting another glove on, you keep doing the same thing. We want to solve this. I want your gloves to last a little bit longer. Here's what you're going to do. The first thing you're going to do is when you look at this grip, what you're going to see is that around the grip, there's two white lines that goes all the way around the grip itself. With this particular line grip, you can see it go all the way around. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands on this so that I don't let any part of my hand get above those two lines right there, just like that. And it'll look as if my fingers are gripping down about an inch. It's actually about a knuckle that you're going to grip down, but you're going to see not one part of the heel pad of the hand is going to be past that line. So when I grab the club in the correct fashion, I get it held properly. Now I have control over this club. So now I can set up confident and comfortable. And now I can make good, smooth swings and get shots that go kind of where I want it to go. And I'm not going to rip my grip. Now, the other reason why you rip your grip is you put the club in your hand in a bad angle. Ben Hogan talked about one of the things that was so important. We've heard people talk through history about the importance of the grip. Here's what Hogan said. If you have a proper, fundamentally solid grip, you should be able to hold the club with your lead hand, take these three fingers off the club and your thumb, and not lose the grip. The grip should not fall out of your hands. And the reason why is that the heel pad sits on top of the grip. In other words, in your hand, there's a heel pad and a thumb pad. And when you hold it properly, the heel pad should sit right on the part that says align on the grip. So I put that heel pad over there just like that. Hold the club out. Let those three fingers and thumb come off. And now when that happens, I don't lose that grip at all. If I take that and let that get up into what would be closer to the heel pad, and then I set that down, you can see that that's going to go straight up the glove. It'll start to move and it'll wobble. You don't have control. So what Hogan said was, and I totally agree, heel pad sits on top, and now we can have control over this club with just the index and the heel pad. That's going to allow me to swing this club freely. I'm not wrestling the club again. So a great thing for you to do before you hit that ball is get the grip the way you want, then check it just like that. When you get it, now you put the hand back on, come back in, and let's hit a shot. Okay, so good swing, good shot, good result. Now, the final reason why you're getting that rip in your glove is because as you're coming down into the strike, what you're doing is you're casting this club, you're slowing the top part of the handle and actually getting the handle to work away from you, and now you're wrestling. So your trail hand wants to go this way, and your lead hand, though it wants to go that way, the golf club is working backwards. So now I got to go chase that with that lead hand. So what I want you to do is I want you to feel the body rotating through and the lead hand carrying the club. How do we teach ourselves how to do that? Well, again, a very simple drill. You're just going to take your trail hand and you're going to open it up so that your thumb and your index finger are off the grip. Now I'm really holding this with just these two fingers of the trail hand, which was another thing that Hogan talked about, the importance of that connection there. Thumb and index finger off. And now what I want you to do from here is just swing slowly. And what you're going to see when you do that is you don't have the ability with the thumb and the index finger off, you don't have the ability to start to cast the club. And so now we start to feel the club rolling through with body movement instead of rolling through with our hands this way and we start rolling the club. We roll it for a variety of reasons, but what I can tell you is with that drill, now all of a sudden the body's going to start to carry the golf club. It's going to rotate a little bit more. Hands are going to get a little bit passive, and you'll start to take that rotation and that chucking of the club head out, which is going to keep that grip nice and solid in your hands, and you won't ruin that glove. So you do that drill for a little bit, and now we get in here and make a swing. And that is how you get rid of that hole in the glove. That's our grip tip, and it's presented by Golf Pride. One of the biggest attractions to the game of golf for me, and what I think really separates great players from not great players, is the ability to control trajectory of shot, move the ball to the left or move the ball to the right. Well, you know what? We also have to be able to move the ball up in the air or keep it low. It's time for Proving It, presented by Titleist. And it's in yellow. Now, here's what you need to understand. We've got to learn how to hit this ball up into the air. One of the things that's going to make you a better golfer is when you're able to create trajectory on a shot, you're going to make greens bigger. They also get a little bit softer, and the reason why is the descent angle of the shot coming into the green. If my golf ball is coming into the green more along the line like this, it makes greens smaller. When it's coming into the ground more like this on a 90-degree angle, which it doesn't, but if it's closer to that, now all of a sudden greens get to be a little bit bigger. And the way you do that is launch the ball a little bit higher, hit the ball a little bit higher, and then with a little bit of spin on it, you can get that thing to stop. I want to talk to you about how we're going to get this ball up into the air. Now, I've shared with you in the past that moving ball position forward or tilting shoulders, that's going to help you get the golf ball to get up into the air. And those still are true. I'm not saying they're not. What I am saying is I want to give you a couple of thoughts during the golf swing that's going to help you get the ball to get up into the air. So I'm going to take a 6-iron here, create a normal baseline for us. This ball here, when I hit this, should have a launch angle of about 18 degrees and should have an apex right around 90 feet. That's typically where I'm playing at. Okay, now that's a really good strike for me. So come on over here and let's look at this. Remember I said to you before, I'm going to have that launch angle at about 18. I'm going to have my apex at about 90 feet. Well, there I am. Apex at 87 feet, launch angle 18.2. So pretty consistent with what I get out of my 6-iron. Now, I want to be able to take this and I want to be able to make this ball get up into the air a little bit higher. I want it to launch a little bit higher because that's going to make this shot get a little bit softer when it comes into the green. And when it's softer coming into the green, now I'm expanding that green. I want to give you a couple of different thoughts. One is in the backswing. You know how I feel about creating good full turn. That's going to help. But I love creating width. I love getting my arms and hands away. And as that happens, the club starts to come into the ball a little bit more along the ground, which is also going to get this ball up into the air. So we had that 87-foot apex. Now, I'm going to just get a little bit wider here, not swing harder, just get wider. That shot that I hit had 173 yards of distance in the air and had a ball speed of about 115.5. So now just a little bit wider. And I hit that shot. Now, come on up here again because I want you to see this. I'm going to show you what I was talking about. Remember, I was at 115.5. This is 115.9. So that's basically the same, quite frankly. But I want you to see the change. Come down here. Apex all of a sudden goes to 108. Launch angle goes to 22. So I go up 4 degrees and up about 20 feet. So pretty good change. All I'm doing there is just feeling that I'm pushing my trail arm away from the target. So when I get back, I'm literally feeling like I'm reaching back here for camera 1. That's all I'm doing. I want to get back there as wide as I can with camera 1. And when I get back there wide, now when the club comes in, it's a little bit of a wider arc, which throws the ball up into the air. Let's do one more here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Push back right over there to camera 1. Feel that strain, that stress. Here we go again. All right, come on up here again. Remember, we were at 115.5, right? So it's easy to go, well, if I have faster ball speed, Michael, it's going to go higher. This one, 114.9, so that's down. Yet, look at my apex, 106, so only 2 feet shy of my 108. And launch angle right there, 22.1. So that width is going to help you. Now, I want to show you another thing that you can think about, and this is something that Jack Nicklaus did, and one of the reasons why he was so good, it was a vertical release. So if I take my arms and my hands and I keep them low to the ground over here, that ball's going to go low. And if I let these go up in the air high like this, like Nicklaus did, I start hinging this up into the air with my elbows right there and let the hands kind of sit up here higher than that. Tom Watson did that as well. You start to do that, that's going to throw the ball up in the air. Let me give you the baseline on really low here, okay? So when I come through here, I'm just going to let this stay all the way around here. The finish is going to be abbreviated because I can't do anything but go around, and at some point it's going to stop. So here we go with this one. So there's my around swing. Now, come on over here and let's look at what we get out of the apex. Apex is at 76 there. The vertical launch goes to 17, so it goes down. Now, I know 112 miles an hour of ball speed, but that's because as I'm coming through and going around, I'm running into my body. I can't swing that fast. Now what I want to do is I want to be able to lift this ball up into the air with that vertical release. And that vertical release, the image that I want you to have is there's a wall over here on the front side. When you take this club, you miss that wall. So we're coming through and we're missing the wall. If I let this go sideways, I'm going to slap the wall. I want to feel this going straight up into the air. So let's see if I can get that vertical release here. So lift that up into the air. Now, come on over here because this is also pretty fun. Vertically release that one. And as I vertically release the club, the apex of the shot goes up to 117. Why do you think Nicklaus was so good? Why do you think Tiger Woods was so good? Because you know why? Because that golf ball's up there at a different space. And when that thing is coming down now it's really soft. So when I have that vertical launch, you can see that vertical launch is at 23.5. Now remember I told you that what it would do is it would soften the greens. It would make the greens a little bit bigger. Now I'm hitting on a range, so that's going to be firmer. But look at what happens up here. Carry distance was 170.3. The total distance was 170.9. So that club came down, that ball came down and only released out about a half a yard. That's really, really important when it comes to expanding greens, shooting lower scores. You have to make sure that you understand trajectory as it relates to apex and descent angle. And when you start to comprehend the importance of the descent angle, you start to realize that when you get this ball up into the air, it gives you a greater chance of getting that golf ball to stop closer to where it lands. That makes greens a little bit bigger and allows you to aim at different hole locations on the greens, particularly those front yardages. Those are the ones that you'll give yourself more birdie opportunities and shorter putts as well. All right, there you go. That's Proving It, presented by Titleist. Putting is such an important part of the game of golf, and understanding how to get the ball to roll the way you want it to roll is essential. Bobby Locke was the very best there was. It's time for a FootJoy fix, presented by FootJoy. So now, let me tell you what Bobby Locke said. He said, this position right here, this is the completion of the backswing. the putter, the left hand, and the left arm to the elbow, so right here, are in one piece. This is the important thing to remember here. To make sure that the club face does not open, the back of the left hand keeps pointing to the grass. I have now reached the, quote, hooding, unquote, position. By hooding, I mean keeping the putter face dead square, or if anything, slightly closed. That's an important thing you need to hear. It's dead square, or if anything, slightly closed in the backswing. This will make sure of getting true topspin on the ball, provided the putter returns to the ball in the same line. Okay, what does that all mean? Well, here's what I want you to understand. I'm going to hit a putt for you, and I'm going to show you how this ball rolls. When he's talking about true topspin, he's talking about getting an impact point that's high on the ball. That's what a closed, square to closed club face is going to do. It's going to lift the impact point and make the ball roll properly. So, let's just hit one here. Okay, good putt there. Now, come on over here, and let's see what that looks like. So, here's what we're looking at. Putter's going to now move into the backswing. That is excellent photo work there, Gibbers. Nice work. Now watch what happens when this thing comes back. So I'm going to take a line, and I'm going to make, this is the touch point that golf ball has on the ground. All right? I'm also going to take this line right here. That's the golf ball. Now, here we come into the strike. So there's the strike. It appears to me as if the touch point or the impact point is going to be right about there, a little bit above the equator. Now watch the ball. That ball right there has now turned down. And now that golf ball there is definitely turned down. And now that golf ball is definitely turned down right there. And now it starts to work into what we call true roll, which means the entire circumference of the golf ball is along that ground, okay? Now, let me show you what it looks like when you take the putter face and you lay the putter face open, or let the putter face open like this. So, get another ball in here, just like that, another Titleist. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay the shaft backwards to show what happens to the impact point, which is in effect an open face or a more lofted face, not hooded. Hooded meaning pointing to the ground, lofted obviously pointing up into the air. And watch what happens to this golf ball when it leaves. So here, now I made that one. I'm with you. I made it. But now, what I want you to see is what happens with our laid back. And let me spin it up here so you can see this is laid back. Gibbsy, this is just fantastic video work. Great job. So there you go. So that's the line. Now watch what happens when we hit this putt. Putt's going to come through. You can see, by the way, look at how open that putter face is right there. You can almost see the entire face. That's how open that putter face is. Now, when the putter comes back into the strike, you can see how the loft on the putter has been increased. And I'm going to say the impact point looks like it's going to be about there. Maybe, it's probably not right there. It's probably just a little bit underneath the equator of the golf ball. So I'm going to draw that line there again. Now watch what happens to this ball. First of all, it jumps up into the air. So it's lifted off of the ground. You see how off the ground that is right there? Okay, now it goes even more off the ground. And now it's spun even more backwards. So now it's spinning away from the direction that it's going. So it's going towards the hole, but it's spinning away from the hole. By the way, it has yet to touch the ground. Still hasn't touched the ground. Still hasn't touched it yet. It's still off the ground right there. That's how much spin backwards has happened in that. There's first touch. So first touch is right about there. Let's go back to, here's where it starts. So that's how much space between between start point and first touch. And now watch what happens again. Now you see right there? Now it's off the ground again, so now it's bouncing. There's second touch. Look at the distance between first touch, second touch. We're not even in true roll just yet. This is a problem. And this is what Bobby Locke understood. Now, I told you about Bobby Locke so many times, you could never hear it enough. Played an entire year on the PGA Tour in the 40s and never three-putted. An entire year on the PGA Tour, never three-putted. Gary Player said he played over 100 rounds of golf with Bobby Locke, never saw him three-putt once. What does that mean? It means that he had great control over speed. How do you get control over speed? Consistency in strike point, consistency in the roll of the ball, lessening that friction that's happening on the front edge of the ball. In other words, if I go back over here and go into this first touch, this ball is spinning backwards. When it lands right there, friction value goes way up because it's going in the different direction. The ball is spinning backwards but going forwards. So friction right here is way up. And when we get that friction way up, now all of a sudden we start to get inconsistencies in distance. So now, how do I want you to control this? Well, just do what Bobby Locke talked about. What he said was he wanted the back of the left hand or the knuckles of the left hand to point to the grass. Don't let them point to the camera. Point to the grass. So now we make this putting stroke so the back of the left hand is pointing down to the ground. The putter face is now pointing down to the ground. It is square to that hole right there. And now I get in here. Feel that exact same thing with the knuckles. Come through, high impact point, great roll, great distance, great make right there. So what does that all mean? It means this. Bobby Locke was the best putter that ever lived. Simple. And if you do what Bobby Locke tells you to do, you will be the best putter that you can possibly be. Get control of the putter face. Don't let the putter face open. Get the putter face to stay square. Even closed is what he said. Dead square or even closed. Never open. And the way you do it is by controlling the back of the putter face with the back of the left hand. Make sure the back of the left hand points to the grass. When it points to the grass, the face is square. When the face is square, high impact points, great distance control, great outcomes. That's our FootJoy fix.